Hey guys, this is the hike to Mount Baldy. Mount Baldy is probably the most popular Southern California hike because it goes to the tallest point in LA County. And the summit is neat. There's no trees. It really feels like you're in an alpine environment. And in some cases you really are. There's thunderstorms, there's snow, there's ice. It's not a hike to do in the winter, and it's not a hike to do if there's thunderstorms. So save this for the summer, nice day, go nice and early so that you can beat any weather, beat the crowds, and you'll have a lot of fun. So it's a loop trail. It's about 11 miles round trip, and you have about almost 4,000 feet of climbing on this hike. And again, don't do it in the winter. Don't do it when the weather's bad. It can be dangerous. You'll see people out here with fitness gear and Bluetooth speakers. It is not that type of hike. You need to be prepared for the conditions. So enough preaching. Let me show you the turn-by-turn directions. Let's go.
So the trailhead is just past the Manker Flats Campground. There's a decent amount of parking here, but it does fill up, especially on weekends. So get here as early as you can and park farther down the road if you have to. Now the trailhead is up sort of at the end of the parking area, over on your left, and it's a paved road, so don't look for actual dirt trail here. Look for this paved road. There is a primitive bathroom up to the right there on that little hill if you need to go. This is the time to do it. But otherwise, just head up this paved road, and shortly you'll see some hiking boards over on the right-hand side, and then a gate up there. You can check out the hiking boards and just go straight through the gate and keep walking up the paved road here. You're going to see San Antonio Falls over here, where the road twists around. It's worth taking a look, and if you want to cool down after the hike, you can walk down the little half-mile trail to the base of the falls and put your feet in the water. But that's for later. For now, you're going up, and you're just going to keep going here. The road turns to dirt, and it's wide up to the Baldy Notch. You're going to keep going up here, and this is a nice part of the hike. It's gradual, and you get pretty sweet views down into the valley there. Now the first junction you're going to get to is the ski hut trail, which is off to your left here. It's kind of hard to spot. You can see those other hikers coming down. When you end your hike, you will end it here. You'll come out at that ski hut trail and then head back down to where you just started, Manker Flats. Keep going up. You're going to be able to see some buildings up in the distance. That's where you're going. That's Baldy Notch, the ski area. So this trail will get there eventually. We're going to keep going straight here. And there's a little turnoff that heads down to the chairlift area. You're not going to go down because you're going up for a while. So keep heading up here. And eventually you're going to see the chairlift in the distance. Now if you don't want to do this first part of the hike, you can take the chairlift, or you can just go to Baldy Notch and take the chairlift down. I'm not sure why you want to do that, but you can. When you approach the notch, there's a junction over here, and nice views, and you'll be able to see the trail down below that you just came up. But you're going to make the hard left turn here. And if you go straight, you'll end up in the right place, but the hard left turn is the way to get you there the quickest. And you just head up this dirt road until you come out at the buildings at Baldy Notch. You're going to go through these buildings to come out at the main Baldy Notch kind of like ski area. And there's a restaurant here over on the right-hand side called Top of the Notch. That's usually open during the summer weekends, during ski season, where you can grab a bite, go to the bathroom. And you're going to come out here in the main ski area, and you're just going to keep going straight through to that road directly across this open area there. Now you can go up some of the ski trails to the left here, and you'll eventually end up in the same place, but this is the main trail. This is the easiest one to follow. So just go through that open area, head up this little rise under the ski equipment here, and eventually you're going to come to a intersection. You're just going to make the hard left at the intersection. Now this is my least favorite section of the hike. It's steep and not so pretty because you don't really get views, so it's a little soul crushing, but you're going to stay straight, and there's some trails get off to the left here that go down. You're not going to go down, you're going to go straight. You're basically going to stay straight and sort of to the right up here until we get to the beginning of the Devil's Backbone Trail. So just keep going straight. It's steep, take your time. There's another trail going down to the ski runs. Just keep going straight. And you'll start getting some views in this section off to the left. There's another ski trail down. Keep going straight up here. Keep going straight. You can see it gets a little more primitive. There's a little trail that cuts down to the left there. We're going to keep going straight here on the main trail until we get to the beginning of the Devil's Backbone Trail. You're going to pass under some last remnants of the ski area here and just keep going straight. And once you pass that ski area, you're going to get some great views off to the east, off on your right hand side into the Mojave. Really beautiful up here. But keep going straight. Now this is the beginning of the Devil's Backbone Trail. And this is scary for a lot of people. It's definitely doable. You're essentially on this ridge here where you have drops that go down pretty steep and pretty far on the left and right. Now, I mentioned earlier you don't want to do this in the winter. A lot of times when people do this and there's ice and snow, they get hurt or die here. It is treacherous, but you don't really see that so much. In the summer, literally thousands of people do this. You can do this too. Just go slow. If you get terrified, there is no shame in getting on your hands and knees and crawling. But when you actually do this section of the trail, you'll see it's not as bad as you would think. And you do have beautiful views off to the sides here, to the left and right. But this is the Devil's Backbone. And again, check the weather. If it's cloudy, if it's thunderstorms, you're not going to want to be up here. It's not a great place. But otherwise, enjoy the views, take your time. And it's really just this one section here. It's maybe 10 or 15 minutes of hiking. And then you'll kind of bend around on the other side of the mountain, and it's not a sheer drop on either side. But again, just showing you so you get an idea of what it's like. It is definitely doable, and tons of people do it. Now, I wouldn't bring small children here. This is something for adults or older kids who can hike and know how to stay on trail. And this is the last little section you're going to go over the Devil's Backbone, where you have these drops. And then it's going to kind of wind up around the side. And you do have a drop on one side, but it's not as scary for most people to have that. It's more of a normal hiking trail. And this is really the last kind of narrow section that you're going to have. Because when it comes around, the side here up to your right, the trail gets a lot wider and it's a lot easier to follow. It's more like just a regular trail. You'll notice that the trees are thinning out. You're coming up above the tree line here. And you'll also notice the trees are kind of slanted over from the high winds. It does get windy here. It's usually much more windy on the summit of Mt Baldy than it would be, say, down in Manker Flats. But you're up in the mountains. Now that's Mt Baldy summit up in the distance there, and this is the last little push to the summit. This part can be tough. Just take your time, go slow, turn around, soak in the views. The one thing to note here is that the trail does break apart and come back together in a lot of places. Just keep heading towards the summit and you will get to the summit eventually. All of the trails that break apart and come back together, they all come back together at some point. So there you can see the Devil's Backbone where you came up. I usually stop here a couple times to rest. But if you do stop again, just turn around and soak in the views. Now eventually when you get closer to the summit, you're going to start to see a pole up in the distance there. And that is the marker for the Devil's Backbone Trail. So if you see that, just head right towards that and you'll be on the summit in no time. And when you get up to the sign for Devil's Backbone, you just go to the last couple feet to the summit here, and there'll be two larger metal signs up there. These posts were not always here, and hopefully they'll be here for a long time because they definitely help. But you just keep going straight, and here you are on Mount Baldy summit. It's usually, like I said, pretty windy, and you'll see people set up stones and little windbreaks here. You can camp up here. The day I did this, 3 people had their tents blown away from the wind, so you might just want to go under the stars, which is what I do. There's the marker for Mount Baldy below. Grab your pictures and soak in the 360 views. There are a lot of chipmunks and squirrels up here, so if you have food, try not to give them junk. Now when you're done at the summit, you're going to head down the Baldy Bowl / ski hut trail. And that's, if you're looking back at Devil's Backbone Trail, it's one trail to the right. There's actually 2 trails to the right. The far trail that you just saw in the video there, the other mountain, is the Bear Canyon Trail. It goes back down to Mount Baldy Village. You don't want to do that. You want to look for this post, which says Baldy Bowl Trail, and just head down here. Now the beginning of the trail is pretty easy to follow. Again, it breaks apart and comes back together a few times. Just stay on the main trail. It's steep, so if you have trekking poles, this is a good time to pull them out to balance yourself going down. And just keep heading down here. The views are pretty good. You're going to go down to that next ridge down there. You want to avoid kind of going down off to the right, down the steep ravine, and head down to that next little plateau down there. And again, all the trails will generally follow that, and they'll split apart, they'll come back together. It's pretty steep, but yeah, don't go over there. Go right down there. But it'll make sense, and you'll come up to the sign here on this little level section. We're heading towards the ski hut and Manker Flats, which is where you started. So just keep going straight. Now this section has these yellow poles, and they're very helpful because you don't want to go off to the right. If you go down the gully to the right, it's really hard to get back out. So you're going to follow these yellow poles down to the next section. And you can see here as I go down, there's a yellow pole in the distance. We're going to go by the yellow pole. So always be looking for the next yellow pole in this section. Essentially go pole to pole. Now if it's foggy or cloudy, it's going to be a lot harder. You're going to want a GPX file, but there you can see the yellow pole. We're just going to keep going straight here and heading down. There's the yellow pole again. Keep heading down. Here's a sign for the trail. Now again, the signs weren't always here, and sometimes people take the signs, which is not cool. But these signs have been here for a little while, so hopefully they'll stay around for a while. At this section, you're going to go down to that next little plateau, and you'll see a yellow sign way off in the distance. You're just going to head down there and avoid the ravine off to the right. And then eventually you'll hit the sign where the trail splits, or doesn't split, trail veers off to the left and goes down a series of switchbacks. Now you're going to go down these switchbacks for a while, and the trail is easy to follow here. It's not as hard as it was before. And then you're going to go through a little boulder field. It gets pretty rocky, so you really have to look at the ground and see where people have walked, where the trail is. And eventually you're going to come through to a bigger boulder field. Now this part can be tricky. You're going to want to make the hard left past these rocks here. And you'll see a sign in a second that confirms that you're in the right place, but you don't want to go straight here. You're going to make the hard left at these boulders, and you will see the trail and the sort of well-worn area where people have stepped over. You can see the trail picks right back up. This is right after the boulders. I'll show you the boulders in a second. And there's a trail sign to confirm that you are indeed in the correct place. And that's the boulder field from that last shot. Then past here, the trail is actually very easy to follow for the rest of the way back down. You're going to go straight through here, and eventually off to your right, you're going to start seeing the ski hut, which is maintained by the Sierra Club. You're going to cross this little stream, and then you'll be at the ski hut. Now the trail breaks off to the left here. If you want to go visit the ski hut, I recommend just checking it out. But otherwise, you just go to the right here at this little intersection to keep going on the trail. But let's go check out the ski hut first. And you can actually book this ski hut if you're a member of the Sierra Club and stay here overnight. Nice views, little benches. And here's the ski hut. So when you're done exploring, just head back to that last junction. And you're going to make the left to continue back down the trail. Here's the junction. You can see the creek. San Antonio Creek is back up there to the right, and then down to the left is the trail. Now you're going to follow this trail all the way back down to that dirt road where you first started. And again, it's really easy to follow here. There's not a lot of trickiness involved. It's more of a straight ahead trail in the mountains. If anything, it's a little steep, so watch your footing. Here's a sign. We're going to be heading down towards Manker Flats. And just keep going straight. After a while, you're going to see this trail register, and you're going to come back down to the dirt road that you first went up to on the notch. And if you remember back in the beginning of the video, I said there was a trail up to the ski hut. We saw some hikers coming down. This is where you're going to be coming down now. And then you sort of twist around here on the trail, and you come back down to the dirt road going up to Baldy Notch. And that's the hike. You just follow this right back down to Manker Flat, and you're all good.
So that's how you do the hike. Now, don't rely on this video alone. To do the hike, go to HikingGuy.com, where I have all the maps and GPX files and gear recommendations and weather recommendations. You really do need to prepare for this. If you are watching this on YouTube, you do me a huge favor and just click that little thumbs up button. That'll help other people find the video and do the hike safely. And you can also subscribe to my channel, and you'll get a notification when I come up with new hikes on the site that you can do. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you out in the trails. Say hello to me if you see me out in the trails. Happens all the time. See ya.